Hey everybody, Diana here and welcome back to Foxtail Brush. And today I'm going to show you how I made this adorable little plushy bat. This was designed by Choli Knight from Desu and I think it is super adorable. I found her patterns online and guess what guys, a lot of her patterns are free. Yes, free. There are some that you do have to pay for, but they're still super inexpensive, and just look at how cute they come out. She does a really great job with her patterns and her instructions, so I decided I must try this and I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's get started on the project. So once you download the pattern, there is a list of items that you're going to need, which of course you're going to need the batting, the thread, and sewing materials, whether you want to do this by hand or with a sewing machine. And she also lists what types of fabric work great for this pattern, which I really appreciated. So I decided to go with the anti-pill fleece that she recommends, and this is going to be a 1/4 yard of fabric for the body, and you're also going to need 1/8 of a yard for the accent, which is going to be the ears. Now you're not going to need the whole spool of fabric when you get it cut at the fabric store. So if you want to make multiple ones, you can use the same fabric for the ears on all of them, or maybe if you already have a small enough piece that you can use at home, that would work perfectly for this. You're also going to need some fusible web, and that's so that we can put the accent pieces on, and some fabric to use for those accent pieces. I have some scrap pieces of felt that I'm going to be using for that. And of course, the last thing you're going to need to do is print out your patterns. Once you download the whole pattern, most of it is going to be instructions on how to put this together, and you just want to make sure you look for page 1 of 2 and page 2 of 2 at the end, and those are going to be the actual pages that you're going to need to print out so you can cut into your fabric and stuff. So let's get started. When you finish cutting the pattern, you're going to notice you're left with these accent pieces. I'm going to put these aside for later, but next I'm going to start cutting out the actual pattern. So now we're going to start cutting out the pattern. And when you're laying the pattern down, you want to make sure you follow the directions that are indicated on each piece. For example, the stretch, I know my fabric stretches in this direction, so I want to make sure that when I'm laying all the pieces, it follows that stretch direction. Also, the nap of the fabric, if you have a really furry fabric especially, you want to make sure that the direction of which way the fur lies is also indicated here in the pattern. Now, because we're going to need 2 of each piece, a quick way to do that is to fold your fabric in half. Again, making sure that you have everything in the correct direction when you're going to be cutting it. And you're going to lay your pieces on the fabric and pin it in place. It helps when you pin it in place so that when you're cutting it, the fabric isn't wiggling around and you're going to get nice even edges, and you're going to get 2 identical pieces when you finish cutting. Now you're going to do this for all the pieces, and for the wing you're going to do this twice because you're going to need 4 wings total. Okay, so I have all my pieces cut out from the body fabric, and if you have any scrap pieces like this left over, what you can actually do is save these pieces and use this as part of your stuffing. That way you're not wasting any fabric and you're also saving money on that expensive batting. So once we finish with the body pieces, we're going to take the same earpiece and we're going to cut it out of the accent fabric. So this is what we should have when we're all done. 4 bat wings, 2 body pieces, 2 head pieces, 2 ear pieces, and 2 inner ear pieces. So now let's get to the facial parts. Ooh. So now it's the fun part, and we get to pick which pieces we want to use. So she gives you a bunch of different options, and you can choose whichever pieces you want. For example, it could have a nose, it could not have a nose. Let's say you want to do the smile but not the fangs. You can kind of mix and match things the way you want. So that makes this a super fun way to customize your own little plush. And what we're going to do is take that fusible web, and there's the side that has the glue on it, and there's the paper side. What you're going to do is lay it down onto this pattern, and on the paper side, you're going to just trace out the shape that you're going to cut out for your bat. So now I have all those pieces traced out. I'm gonna just cut out a general shape of what I want. And for the eyes, for example, what I'm going to do is take the eyes onto the color fabric I want. In this case, it's going to be the black felt. Then what you'll do is you'll iron it on and let it, whoops, my iron's not on, but you're gonna iron it on and let that cool down so that the glue sets into the felt. And you're gonna do this for all your pieces and your corresponding colors. Okay, so I've ironed on my pieces. They're nice and stuck on there. And I'm going to cut each piece out. All right, so I have all my facial pieces cut out. And I have one of the head pieces ready. This is the front side of the fabric. And I'm going to actually use this pattern as a guideline. Now, you can put your face pieces however you like and make it as cute as you like, and you know, basically put it however you want to customize it yourself. But I actually like the placement of some of these features. So for example, I'm going to take the nose, and I already peeled the paper off the back. I'm going to hold the nose basically where the nose is on the pattern, and I just slide the pattern out, and bam! So then I will go in and iron that piece on, and do that with each facial piece. For example, the eye, and then the eye shine. So again, make sure you peel off the paper, set it down on the pattern, slide it out, and then iron it on. And I'm going to do that for all of these pieces. Okay, so I have just finished ironing on all my pieces, and it looks super cute already. And depending on which type of fusible web you use, you may or may not have to stitch it on. For example, the lightweight one, you will have to stitch it on. Heavy duty one, it should be able to hold it in place. But for mine, I am just going to stitch all the pieces on to make sure they're nice and secure. Boop, boop. So I just finished doing all the stitch work and the appliques, and everything's nice and secure. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the template again, and where you see the ear placement and the neck placement marks, I'm just going to mark that on my fabric. I finished marking off my neck holes and the ear holes, and I'm going to now show you guys how I sewed this opening shut. So what you're going to do is fold it in half, and you're going to do this for both the front and the back of the head. And you want to make sure that the nice side of the fabric is going to be on the inside of your sandwich. And when you're sewing these little darts here, you don't want to do a straight line, because this is what's going to make your bat face nice and round and squishy. If you do a straight line, you're going to kind of end up more with a bat unicorn than a nice round bat. So what you want to do is you want to do more of a curved line and kind of just blend this into this side seam, you know, just kind of try to round it out as best you can, basically. So just kind of blend it into this edge here and try to go as round as you possibly can. And that will help give your bat the nice round face that you're looking for. So let me go do that right now. Okay, so I finished up the darts, and as you can see, the head already wants to be nice and round. So that is perfect. And the next thing we're going to do is make the ears that we're going to sew into the head. So what we're going to need for that is the main color fabric and the lining fabric. And what you want to do is you want to actually face these so it's the nice sides, again, facing in, right sides together. And we're going to pin these in place. And once you have it all nice and pinned up, what you're going to do is just sew around this top part of the ear. You're going to leave this bottom part that's going to go to the head. You're going to leave that open so that we can turn the ears inside out. So I'm going to pin these together and get them all sewn up. The ears are done and sewn, and I forgot to mention, but for this whole pattern you'll be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So turn the ears right side out. Now we're going to refer back to the pattern, and there's a fold line here. What this fold line corresponds to is we're going to need to fold the ears over like this on both sides. And if you cut the pattern out correctly, you're gonna see there's a little bit of a point right here. I think you can kind of see it right there in my fabric. This is going to be the folding point for the ear. And you're just gonna fold it over like this. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna baste it right here. And I don't mean basting like you do with a turkey. What that means is you're gonna just do a really wide running stitch so that it will hold this ear fold in place. That way when we're sewing it onto the head, we don't have to worry about having to put in a lot of pins in there or it coming up, you know, coming apart, unfolding. So you're gonna do this for both ears. It's just do this nice long running stitch and it will hold its shape perfectly. So we have our 2 ears done, and now we're going to pin them into the head. Now the way to do this is you're gonna take the ear and right where you marked the ear hole placement, hopefully you can see my marks, we're going to lay the ear flat. So it's kind of like, you know, she's being bashful, trying to cover her face. So you're gonna just pin it right in there. And the same with the other ear. Once you have the ears pinned, now we can pin the back of the head on. Okay, remember this large seam is the top, the short seam down there is the bottom. We're gonna pin this all the way around except for where the neck holes go. You wanna leave this spot open so that we can turn it inside out. Okay, so we have the opening here and we have our ears nice and sandwiched in between the front and the back of the head, and I'm gonna sew this. Make sure you go very slowly and carefully if you're using a sewing machine over this ears because it's a pretty thick part. So the head is finished up. Let's turn her inside out. And ta-da! She is so cute already. Oh, you can make her into a puppet. Hey! All right, so the head is done for now, and we're gonna set this aside. And we're gonna move on to the wings. So for the wings, again, you're gonna put the right sides facing each other, and you're gonna pin all the way around this part up here and this part down here. You wanna leave this little side open so that we can flip it out. So again, we're gonna do this to both wings, pin it in place, and sew only along this side over here, leave this open. So when you finish sewing up your wings, before you turn them inside out, you need to trim this seam allowance down here where the points are. I did it right here on this one, and you just want to get as close as you can to this seam allowance, and that will help the wing to lie a little bit more flat and just look a little bit more sleek and slim on the bottom. We really only want the bulk of the wing to be up at this top point. Now we're gonna turn it inside out. This one's a little bit more difficult, but once you get it, it looks like a fish. All right, so what you need to do for something like this where you have the points, it's nice to have a blunt object. You can use a chopstick. I'm just using a pencil, and you want to go in and push those points out to make sure that you get that nice little edge in there, that little corner ridge that we made earlier. And there we go. And that's how you make sure you have those nice little points. We have the wings done, and as it says in the pattern, it's optional. You can leave it like this. They look perfectly fine, but I do like how the details look on this pattern. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut these dotted lines out, and this is going to be your guide for your wing. So what you're going to do is cut out each of these pieces, lay it flat onto your wing, and just draw out where these seams are going to be. So I have my seams all drawn in, and like I said, you don't have to do this, or maybe you can even eyeball your own design, but I'm gonna go in with my sewing machine and just do some straight stitches over these lines. So we have our wings all nice and stitched up, and the next thing we're gonna do is sew them onto the body. So we have our body parts here, and on the front side of the body, we're gonna take our body pattern, and she actually marked out where the wing placement is going to be. So that is perfect. I love this pattern so much. It makes everything so much easier. You don't have to think about where things are gonna go. It's just everything's marked out for you. We're going to pin the wings this way. So like he's going to hug himself. And make sure you pin it right in between those marks. This is what it's gonna look like. Now this part, I do have to admit, was a little bit scary the first time I did it, but what you're gonna do is you're going to make him assume bat position. So fold the wing over the body and then fold this tip back over itself. So again, taking this side, fold it over the body, and then fold it back over itself. So it's kind of a nice little compartment right here. And then we're gonna take the front side, the nice side, put that onto it so it's nice sides facing each other again. And we're gonna sandwich this all together, smush it down and pin it in place like we did for the head. Okay, so I have my body all pinned up, and I know what you're thinking, that is a whole lot of pins. Yes, it is. But I only did that because we have the wings folded up inside, all nice and neat, tucked in. And I don't want them moving around and getting into the seam somehow. And if I accidentally sew maybe a tip of the wing onto the body, then I'll just have to take it apart and do it all over again. So you want to be really careful. If you need to, use a lot of pins, but make sure that the wings folded up inside stay in the middle. You don't want to sew over the folded up wing parts. All right, so I sewed it all up, and now is the moment of truth. Can we flip it inside out? Come on, little guy. Oh, yes, I did it. All right, so the wings look good, and I didn't sew them on accident into the body. And just taking a pencil again, and I'm gonna make sure to poke the little feetses all the way out. Look how cute! Look how cute this looks. All right, so the next step is for us to start stuffing the body part. I have some cotton batting, and I even have some scraps too. So you can use whatever you like to stuff the inside of your plush, but make sure the first thing you do is you're gonna get some of the plush and shove it all the way down into the feet. That way we know the feet are nice and filled up and firm and looking good. It's harder to stuff the whole body and then try to shove everything down. Just start at the bottom and work your way up. So get it nice and shove it in there. Give her nice looking plump legs. Oh yes. So what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of the scraps, and basically the top of the stuffing, I'm just gonna kind of cover it up. And it's going to act as more stuffing, and also it will help so that when we sew everything, I don't want the stuffing just pouring out. So that's a little tip from me. Make sure it's nice and smoothed in with the rest of the batting. So I have my body all nice and stuffed the way I like, the correct firmness. And we're going to take the head and basically make her bend down and touch her toes. Now the next step is you're going to pin the head onto the neck. So the whole neck is going to be closed up, but we're only using this front piece where the face is. We're only using this front piece of the face to sew the neck shut. So you want to make sure to leave the head open so that we can stuff it afterwards. But basically just sew along here. So it'll be the front of the face, the front of the body, and the back of the body all sewn together, and it will sew the body shut. I have the head sewn onto the neck, and that is what she will look like. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so now we're going to start stuffing the head. Now that we have the head all nice and stuffed, we're going to stitch the back of it onto the body. So I started from inside the head and pulled the thread through, and you're gonna leave this 1/4 inch seam tucked in underneath. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna stitch a ladder stitch from the head to the body back and forth so that you're sewing it shut as well as sewing it down onto the body. And here is the end result, you guys. I think this plush is so adorable. I think Choli did an amazing job with the instructions. They were really easy to follow, and it just comes out looking super cute. If you like this plush or want to check out the rest of her plushes, again, the link is in the description below. And she has a lot of really, really cute designs, guys. Please check her out. I absolutely love all of them. I think I'm addicted. So much so that I decided to make another one. And these are going to be for a wedding present, so the bride and groom will each have their own. And they're so cute. I love them, you guys. So again, please check out her website. Show her some love. She has some really cute designs out there, and they're really easy to create. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!